Would you trust someone enough to put your whole life in their hands? Many people may answer this question no, but what they fail to consider is that they already do this. This is because, in fact, mostly everyone puts their hands in the lives of the government, whether they want to or not. This does not mean that they do not question some of the things that the government does, however. Hi, my name is Jordan Perotti, and I try to discover why the government covers some things up and how people react once the truth comes out. This topic really intrigued me because I stumbled across some YouTube videos on conspiracy theories when I was little, and I immediately got hooked. I aimlessly started watching hours worth of videos, diving into new concepts that made my brain turn. I enjoyed hearing people's opinions and having new ways to think about things. I wanted to uncover more and have things to have my brain question. When thinking about most of these conspiracies, I ultimately came to one underlying factor in each: the government. This is what stemmed my research. The government was originally founded in order to protect and serve the people as well as provide law and order. People believed in the government for the most part, but that was until they noticed some things that did not add up. The first event that had people's suspicions high was an incident involving a weather balloon during the Cold War. In 1947, an unknown object crashed into the desert in Roswell, New Mexico. It was reported that the object was a weather balloon, but people remember senior officers coming out saying it was a flying saucer. It did not sit right that there was a sudden change of story, so people began to investigate in the late 1900s. It came out that the balloon was actually made to spy on the nuclear warfare of the Soviets. This was called Project Mogul. This new news of spying on the Soviets in turn did not rest well with the people of the United States because they were still curious why the senior officers would originally report that it was a flying saucer. They began to theorize that the government was actually trying to cover up aliens. To that, another report came out stating that any reports of alien remains was simply a combination of innocently transformed memories of military accidents involving injured or killed personnel and the recovery of anthropomorphic dummies. This was according to Morgan. After this came to light, people began to doubt the government and their motives, and this became the backbone of most conspiracy theories to come. Before diving more into the government and their cover-ups and how it results in conspiracy theories being made, it should be noted that not everyone chooses to believe in these conspiracy theories. However, there are certain traits that people possess that make them more susceptible. Many of those that have to do with someone's psychological state. If someone is known to have anxiety, for example, it makes them more prone to believe. This is because anxiety produces a need for control that may be satisfied by identifying patterns, which is analogous to conspiratorial thinking. This is according to Radnitz and Underwood. People with anxiety are often those who overthink things and need an answer to situations. When that does not happen, they tend to think of possibilities that could be a possible conclusion. Not only this, but they also feel the need to have control in their lives, and when they feel there is no control through the government, they will seek other ways to feel it, hence turning to conspiracy theories. Another trait that people who believe in conspiracy theories have is insecurity. Insecurity causes people to believe that forces outside of their control are shaping events. The loss of control triggers a need to compensate by imagining that they have a grasp on an otherwise complex situation, allowing them to reassert control. This is also according to Radnitz and Underwood. Much like anxiety, people who are insecure feel the need to know almost everything. When faced with something unknown, they tend to shut down and make something up that they believe could be a possibility to fill in the gap. With both situations, people want to feel a sense of security and not be left wondering. So on to the conspiracy theories. These are the top 3 conspiracy theories. Coming in at number 3, we have Area 51. There's a couple different theories on Area 51, but what the government tells us is that Area 51 is a naval base. However, many people think that it's home to some extraterrestrial life forces. So the first theory on Area 51 is that they reverse engineer alien spacecrafts there. Bob Lazar, a purported whistleblower and controversial figure in the scientific community, claims to have worked for a period of time at a secret military base at S4 which he said is several miles south of Area 51. According to Lazar's claims, he saw flying saucers that were powered by Element 115 years before it was discovered by man. Lazar claims he is still being tracked and monitored by the U.S. government 30 years after he exposed Area 51 to the world. The second theory about Area 51 is that extraterrestrials are kept hostage there. In conjunction with the alien spacecraft that conspiracy theorists believe are at Area 51, extraterrestrials are also believed to be located there, including ones that are supposedly held hostage. In the 2018 Netflix documentary, Lazar said that he was walking down a hallway at S4 and for an instant saw a small gray extraterrestrial between two men in lab coats through a small window. Lazar claimed that he was told by a guard to stop looking and move along. The third and final theory about Area 51 is that alien autopsies have been performed there. Conspiracy theorists also believe that following the supposed extraterrestrial spacecraft that crashed in Roswell, New Mexico in 1947, the dead bodies of aliens aboard were taken to Area 51 and dissected. In the mid-1990s, a fuzzy black and white film supposedly showed a team of scientists and doctors cutting open one of the beings and was aired on TV. Eventually, this footage was proven to be a hoax after the producers came out and said that they had faked the autopsy. The second most popularly believed conspiracy theory is a couple theories on 9/11. The first being that insider traders knew about the attacks before they happened. Right before the 9/11 attacks, some fishy business happened within the stock market and insurance firms. An extraordinary amount of put options were placed on United Airlines and American Airlines stocks, the same airlines that were hijacked during the attacks. Many speculate that traders were tipped off about the attacks and profited from the tragedy. The Securities and Exchange Commission launched an insider trading investigation in which Osama bin Laden was a suspect after receiving information from at least one Wall Street firm. A different conspiracy theory on 9/11 is that the planes did not make the towers collapse, but bombs instead did. The World Trade Center collapse appeared similar to a controlled demolition. Many speculate that the towers were in fact blown down with explosives placed in selected locations. Some witnesses recounted hearing explosions inside the building as they attempted to escape. Many architects and scientists even maintain that a plane's fuel cannot produce enough heat to melt the steel frames of the two buildings that collapsed. Finally, coming in at number 1 is the theory of the Illuminati. This theory originated in 1776 when a group in Bavaria called themselves the Bavarian Illuminati. Members of this society referred to themselves as perfectionabilists, and their goal was to have a religion of reason in place of Christianity. Within this group, the members pledged complete obedience to their founders, with people of status and wealth being higher up and given special treatment. To make things more intriguing, people were given special names that they would be referred to by. Not only this, but internal correspondence was conducted in cipher, and to increase the mystification, towns and provinces were invested with new and altogether arbitrary designations. Their name quickly spread to Italy, all the way to Denmark, as people began to gain interest in their mysterious tactics. As their name spread, as did their influence, the Bavarian government caught wind of the secret society and ultimately came to an edict to ban the Bavarian Illuminati in 1785. Members faced jail time, and the founder was even banished from Bavaria. Since then, there has not been any more known activity from the Bavarian Illuminati. People most associate the version of today's Illuminati with the Bavarian Illuminati because of their similar ideals of creating a perfect government. Not only this, but also the fact that both have such discreet and mysterious methods of ruling. Like the Bavarian Illuminati of giving people secret names, today's Illuminati also aims to dissolve people's identities as well as national boundaries. The Illuminati has an idea to create total authoritarian control through their New World Order plan. The New World Order plan was their plan to put influential people in charge so they could create one overlying government to control the whole world. The Illuminati had not been brought back to light, however, until the late 90s because of hip-hop music. Rappers like Prodigy and LL Cool J started painting pictures of what life would have been like under the New World Order and even addressed the Illuminati directly in their music. Over the next couple of years, many other rappers began to also reference the Illuminati in their music. Then in the early 2000s, many people started to speculate that some rappers had to have been part of the Illuminati themselves since so many other artists were talking about it. One rapper in particular was Jay-Z. A common speculation within the Illuminati is that people would often sell their souls to them in order to gain fame or fortune, and in return, they would serve as a puppet to them. The Illuminati would then control how they act and what messages they're allowed to spread. It's also speculated that they have an agreement on how long their career will last and what age they're going to die. Some major stars like Beyonce, Jay-Z, and even Justin Bieber are speculated to be part of the Illuminati just because of how influential they are. Now that we know what the top 3 conspiracy theories are, I went to the mall and I conducted a survey on 200 people and I asked them if they believe in government cover-ups. To that, 136 out of 200, or 68%, said yes. So out of those people that said yes, I asked them which conspiracy they believe in most. So 33 said that they believed in the Illuminati most, 58 said that they believed in 9/11 most, and 45 said that they believed in Area 51 the most. Through my research, I have sadly concluded that there is no definite reason as to why the government covers things up because no one has ever fully addressed it. Trying to go to the source of the government itself, I interviewed former CIA member Ann Keenan to try to get more insight on this subject. She says, "I do not fully know and cannot reveal certain things that I believe to be the reason that the government covers certain things up, but for the public's sake, I will say that what I think I can share. Personally, I feel that the government will take actions that they know are morally wrong, and since they do not want the public to associate them with a bad connotation, they will make up something or try to hide it in order to keep the public on their side." So what I gathered from this is that the government does not want to lose the control they have over people, so they will often withhold information if they feel like it will compromise how they are viewed. Normally when the truth does come out, the government will not acknowledge it, however, because they do not want to admit they were trying to cover something up and lose the trust from the people. Instead, they will try to move forward as if nothing happened and hope that with time people will forget. People don't always forget about these cover-ups, however, and it can ultimately lead to a loss of trust for the government. With all the distrust in the government from these conspiracy theories comes changes in people's behavior. Societies in which distrust is deep and pervasive are likely to exhibit low levels of compliance and political participation with troubling consequences for the functioning of the government. This is according to Radnitz and Underwood. The worst type of betrayal is breaking trust under any circumstances. Trust is something that takes time to build and even more time to rebuild once broken. If there are no changes in the character of the government and suspicions keep at a high, people can end up losing respect for the government altogether. If this happens, people can end up distancing themselves and not wanting anything to do with involving the government. People could even rebel and protest or stop listening to authority altogether. Conspiracy theories, as you can see, can be very damaging to people's relationships, especially if it turns out the theory is not even true. When making conclusions, people are not always thorough and often do not get exactly what they're looking for. So you can get very good information if you're interested in very good information on the internet. If you're interested in nonsense, then you can get that too. This is according to Morrison. If people do not know what they're researching or do not fact check, then they can actually believe or spread false information. Normally, people who are more open-minded are likely to believe nonsense, while others that need more persuading will try to find good information. However, just because there is very good information does not mean that everyone will believe it and it will fulfill a conclusion for them. With the false information, it can lead people to believe something that results in defamation of character, and respect can be lost for that person or thing. This happens a lot in politics in order for one candidate to look better than the other. Through this process, I encountered many loose ends that were frustrating, but it taught me that there's not always going to be an answer to every question. It also taught me that sometimes you have to go in-depthly into research things in order to find a plausible explanation that doesn't conflict with other things on the internet, because some things are not facts, but just instead opinions. When dealing with things that are just theories, it's hard to differentiate what has the most depth and quality to back them up. I want people to take away that you should not always put your full trust in someone or something, but instead feel able to question things when events do not add up. Also, with that being said, do not believe everything you see, because people will often put things out there with the intent to harm someone else's reputation, or just simply not research it enough. False information is really easy to be believed and spread if you're not careful. Lastly, I want people to feel free to imagine and put their minds to work to think of new concepts.